In this tutorial, I'll show you how to track DI guitar into Logic using Amp Designer as a starting amp tone. I'll also show you how to record multiple takes and store them in a take folder for comping and editing later. So I have my guitar plugged into input 3 on my audio interface, and as I explained in the last video, you want to make sure that you use an instrument level input for guitar or use a DI box and a mic input. I'm going straight in with an instrument input, so I'll pull up my mix control app for my Focusrite interface, and I'll make sure the input 3 is set to an instrument level input. Now, depending on what interface you're using, there'll be a different app you may have to use to switch the signal level, or there may be a switch right on the interface itself to do so. So this will vary depending on what device you have. So I've got one audio track here. I'll make sure that the input on the track matches the input that I'm plugged into. So I'll select input 3 here. Now I should be able to input monitor this and hear the clean DI signal of the guitar. Next, I'll right-click up here and choose Customize Control Bar and Display. And I'm going to make sure that low latency mode is shown, as well as the tuner. Low latency mode will help reduce latency when I'm recording and will temporarily disable plugins that are causing latency as well. You can also just keep a lower buffer size while recording, but with guitar tracking, sometimes I like to add different plugins to the guitar while I record. So I'll usually keep this on a mid-range buffer size and then just turn on low latency mode while I'm recording and turn it off when I'm editing. I also want to tune up my guitar with the integrated tuner. I find that using the 12th fret harmonics helps keep the pitch more stable for tuning. You can also double-click here and change your tuning scale if you need to. A440 is the most standard, but if you like, you can change the scale here. Like 432, for example, is another tuning that's sometimes used. I'll stick with 440 Hz though. Next, I'll load up Amp Designer on my audio track. I'll choose a crunch preset. I'll go with this one, Vintage Driver. I'll go with a bit less treble and more mids, and I'll also reposition the mic a bit here. Now with the guitar in an instrument input, you normally can just leave the gain all the way down. You don't need any preamp gain to boost the signal, but you can play around with added gain to give the amp sound a bit more drive. In particular, I find this helpful to add some gain when recording leads. So here's an example with the gain knob all the way down. And then I'll play that again with the gain pulled up a bit. For this video, I'll just be playing rhythm parts, so I'll keep the gain down. I'll bump up my tempo a bit and hit R to record. Alright, so that's one take. Let's say that I want to record multiple takes and comp them together later. If you go up to your Logic Preferences, Recording, here you can change your overlapping recordings preference for audio to Create Take Folder. Now if I record right on top of my previous recording, it'll record a separate take and store my previous take in a take folder. So if I double click on this, it'll collapse and expand the folder, and I can click to select the take that I want to use. Next, I'll hit Command D to duplicate my guitar track. This will also duplicate the Amp Designer plugin. And I'll pan the first one left and the second one to the right, and I'll record a second layered guitar part on the second track. Doubling your rhythm guitar parts left and right is one of the simplest recording tricks to make your guitar sound bigger and wider. So that's the basics of DI guitar recording in Logic. In the next video, I'll show you how to comp and edit your guitar takes.